got my laptop on, and I feel alright. I got a few joints rolled, and my munchies made. Got my headphones on, and I close the door, don't disturb me. It's time to stand up tall and say some things about the shitty world we're living in, with the voice of Raconteurs News. To Raconteurs, Raconteurs, to Raconteurs, Raconteurs, to Raconteurs News, Raconteurs News, Raconteurs News, Raconteurs News, Raconteurs News. Oh yeah.
And good evening and welcome to Raconteurs News. It's the 24th of April 2018 and it's going to be another massive show. I can't promise all the things. We've had quite a few subjects in the last few days. We've had penis transplants that was yesterday, and what were the thing that we were talking about before? I can't remember. It was something just as ridiculous. But anyway, welcome to Raconteurs News tonight. I hope you all had a great day. It's been a bit rainy and pissy down here in Sheffield, but hopefully it'll clear up. But as far as all the things that Webby keeps posting on his Facebook page, it keeps telling us it's going to be red hot, and then it tells us it's going to be freezing cold and we would have more snow. Speaking of which, I'm joined as usual by my two co-hosts, Paul Young and Andy Webster. No. Andy Young and Paul Webster. I do apologise. It's probably because I've got a Paul Young record on my record player there. That's probably why I've said that. But anyway, good evening, fellas.
Hi, guys. You okay?
Thank
Toast.
you. Well done, Andy. I'll give you a Jason comedy merit card for that. Brilliant. Thank you. Excellent reference. Are you all right, fellas? Had a good day?
Yes and no. I do have to report some bad news I received today. A friend and colleague of mine has taken his own life today, so he'd been in a bad way anyway, but he wasn't able to get the help that he really needed, and as well as that, when you asked him if he was okay, he was always great, never been better. And when people are like that, you can't always help them. So it's been a bit of a mixed day. It was a great day, and then you hear something like that, and you question your own mortality. But blessings, love, light, and healing, and prayers to his family.
Yeah, well, I think we all echo that as well. Obviously, we don't know the guy, so it's not relevant to us, but it is relevant to you, Paul. So we send our condolences and our thoughts out to you, because you're the only person we know in this situation. But it's always sad. And the problem with mental health services is they're being cut back right to the bone. And anybody that wants to get involved anybody that wants to try and do something in mental health, they're usually blocked. And the problem is the system is creating these mental health problems as well, and it's no coincidence. But I think we'll probably get into that a little bit later on. Anyway, we've got a guest to welcome back. Let me just say, before I say that, I want to say hello to everybody who's in the chat room, because I'm always not giving people credit for being in the chat room and saying what they're saying. Tequila Leeds has said he's sorry for you, Webby, and there's good evening to everybody who's in the chat room. I'm sure Heath will be in there later on when he's finished his band rehearsals, and a big hello to everybody that's watching on Facebook Live. But we've got a guest coming back for it's the second time that we've had him in the last couple of months. But a great guest last time, and we're really looking forward to speaking to him tonight. I think what I'm going to do is that Andy knows him best, so I think I'm going to get Andy to introduce him.
Okay, well, I think Paul does actually, if we're all being right, but I'm not going to argue of it. Yeah, I'd like to say that I'm very sorry for your sad news, Paul. these things happen, don't they? And it's very sad when they happen, and it always leaves you feeling like, oh shit, I wish I could have done a bit more, doesn't it? But
I think that's what a lot of us have been doing. But you know, we have tried to help, but when they deny the help because they don't believe there's anything wrong with them, they think they're doing okay. There's only so much you can do, but it's closer family and friends really that may have to look at themselves. You know what I mean, Andy? It's all well and good colleagues and that looking at themselves, but there's only so much colleagues can do. It comes down to families at the end of the day. And, you know, Owen's going to be talking about families and stuff like that and possible repercussions for him and his family on the subject we're going to be talking about tonight. So over to Owen. What is your take on this Windrush stuff, Owen? Because no doubt you'll have been keeping your eye on it.
Well, yeah, I have. Good evening, guys.
Shall we introduce him first? Give him an introduction, for God's sake.
yeah, it's Owen from Portugal. He's top dude. Take it away, Owen.
Hi, guys.
We're struggling a bit with the Portuguese accent, so can you speak a bit more slowly, mate?
Yes, I will. How is that for you? Is that okay? Yeah, it's bizarre. I've been following the Windrush from here. The government seem to be flip-flopping on the decisions on what they're doing and what they are and what they're not doing. I mean, my main concern with it, wasn't really a concern at first, is because the repercussions of me being a child of the Windrush generation, and then in turn my kids as well. You know, it kind of makes you. Well, it made me think about it. If they're turning around after so many years of my parents going to the UK and doing what they did, and now they're turning around and trying to exclude people from the UK. Obviously, alarm bells started ringing for me. So I've looked into it. I've followed it today. I'm just actually waiting for my computer to kick it back in because I did make some notes about it also. I'm waiting for my computer just to reload back up again. But I believe Amber Rudd is talking. I was going to say talking out of her arse and then stop myself, but yeah, talking out of her arse once again. This all stems from Theresa May. I don't know what it's really hard for me, because if these things would have been happening when I was back in the UK, I'd be one of the first ones there on the doorstep with number 10 kicking and screaming about it. And it's quite hard for me over here trying to keep up. And I have to, unfortunately, sometimes rely on what the mainstream media just putting on, just to give me a little starter into it.
Owen, get onto my Facebook page. You don't need mainstream media. Get onto my Facebook page.
I know, your Facebook page is on my stream. I get your messages every bloody day. I'm just trying to pick up it. In fact, it's just coming up here now. But yeah, it just seems really, really strange that I had a theory when this all first started coming out. Really, if you think of all the people of the Windrush generation, they're probably of retirement age now, aren't they? The ones that that they may have already deported. And as we all know about the at least the UK state pension, there isn't really a pension. So is that another way of getting the numbers down of people they have to potentially pay out to? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, of course we do. Yeah. You wouldn't put it past this government, would you? Because they'd do anything, they'd trample on anybody, disabled people, all minorities. In fact, you don't even have to be a minority for them to step on you. You're disabled, or you're of a different race, or you're of a different religion. They use all these things to divide us up. And I was just thinking about it earlier on, and I saw that I've got quite an array of different people on my Facebook page, and they post different things. And I've got some people who are obviously far right and are all Tommy Robinson and all this sort of stuff, which, these people, you need to listen to them, because sometimes they do say, they do bring up interesting issues like freedom of speech, Tommy Robinson, that sort of thing. But all these you've got all these people that are a lot sort of saying, Can we get rid of Muslims out of the country? Why do I have to have halal meat? And it's all bullshit that's on Facebook. Share if you agree. It's just bullshit.
Well,
you get these people that will share it.
It's put in purposely, isn't it? It's put in purposely. It's the divide and conquer thing all over again, isn't it? And people take the bait. Unfortunately, they do. They take the bait and they run with it, not really researching. Listening to last night to your show, and it's that big thing. If you profess you know about a subject, you should be able to speak about it. But you will find that people will grab onto a subject and just run with it. And 9 times out of 10, they'll run up against a brick wall as soon as a comment comes out because they've not researched it. They're following the line. They're following the crowd or following the movement or whatever you want to call it. It's not until I think people individually sit down and research it for themselves that it strikes a chord with them in a good or even a bad way. But it's just going back to that, I just think, I don't know. I'm just gonna get onto my notes here because it was like I was saying about the Windrush generation. So what she has said, Amber Rudd, is that she's pledged that the Windrush generation will be granted British citizenship, and obviously that actually for me is a good bonus because I remember my parents when they retired back, because this does include the people that retired back to Jamaica after working a long length of time in the UK. Is that on a number of occasions that my mum said that she wanted to come back and live in the UK because of the convenience. People may see Jamaica as the Sunshine Island and reggae and ganja, but once you come out of the sandals and beaches resorts that are all penned in, that's when you see the real Jamaica. And we're talking shacks. We're talking run down places. We're talking Kingston, the capital, which has the highest murder rate in the Caribbean. It's not all you see in the press and your places in the sun. It's that people are taking too much on hearsay rather than seeing it for themselves.
Yeah, we were told that. We went to the Bahamas. Went to Nassau in 2005, and from our hotel, all inclusive, they said, if you want to catch the bus into town, the bus is right outside. It's a number 10. Make sure it's the number 10 and not the 10A. If you get on the 10A, you will go to a place called Over the Hill, and you don't want to go there.
Wow.
If people get shot over card games, said that you will be treated as just easy meat. You do not get on 10A. So you just stood there going, what bus is that? What bus is that? Wait, it's a 10. Come on, we'll get on this. So, yeah, you're right.
And Amber Rudd's also said is that she's going to scrap the language and British knowledge test and bring in speedy financial compensation for those who have suffered loss, although there's been little detail so far. So even going back to that, if Amber Rudd is saying that people are going to be compensated because they weren't allowing them to re-enter the UK, and I'm going in reference to my parents here again, is that whether it be a wedding or this, that and the other, I'm sure there was a fee for my parents to pay to enter the country. Yeah? And this is something that I am now interested in, something that I'm going to follow up all the more. My parents are well into the 80s, and I don't know whether my mum still wants to go back to the UK, purely because of the convenience, as I was saying earlier. But I'm going to follow this up because I think they've shot themselves in the foot in the first place by bringing it up. And now they're backtracking and offering this, that and the other. I think that any person like myself who has parents from the Windrush generation should jump on this and let's get our families sorted.
Yeah, I think they're gonna. I think they're depending on it causing that chaos as well, Owen. I think they want the chaos because they can make more mistakes and deport more people that shouldn't really be deported. And in doing so, you're creating more of a divide and conquer culture between everybody else, because everybody who looks, I don't even know whether you'd say looks ethnic anymore, because there's such a a multitude of people these days. I mean, I've said this to you, Owen, loads of times. I was talking to another guy about it, and I said when I was a kid, growing up in the town where I was, if a black man walked through town, it would be the talk of the town because there was no black people. Now, there's still not that many black people in my town, but it's a nothing thing. It's just a man now. It's not a black man anymore. Yes. Do you know what I mean? So that has become...
That's because you've grown up with that, isn't it?
Yeah, it becomes more accepted. Yeah.
I grew up in Hayward. And our family, one of the few families, in Hayward, I think there's maybe 3 families. But, it's the same as, but I grew up all the way through that. And yes, there were times where I had the abuse, but more generally, I was accepted.
Mm.
So the media wasn't as prolific then.
Exactly.
As it is now.
Exactly.
There were programs like Love Thy Neighbour, Mind Your Language.
Yeah.
Even I remember.
Andy's already laughing.
Well, I can actually go a little bit further than Paul's, because I've got a very early memory of being a kid, and I was probably around about 2 years old, and I was sat on my dad's shoulder watching the lifeboat parade at Skegness, and to my dad's horror, I shouted out, "Look, Dad, there's a black man!" Everybody in the fucking crowd stared at me. He said he just wanted to disappear. But that was the first time I'd ever seen someone with black skin. It was what?
Well, it is one of those strange things from at least me growing up. I have seen it change for the worst.
Mm.
I hear people going on about political correctness and this, that. You can't say this, you can't say that. Who said? Who said? Did they do a survey of every single person of every different ethnic background and say, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to stop people talking about it. They didn't.
No.
So and once again, it harks back to the freedom of speech once again. That you can't say this, you can't say that. Who? As long as you're following what it says in the Bible, that's good. Yeah? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
But from an authoritative figure to turn around to me and say, "Oh, you can't say that because," it's like last night I saw.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up last night. That was an interesting point you brought up. We were talking about the fellow who.
I'm going to do it. You guys know what I'm on about, but I'm going to do it because it's about time it was challenged. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
I can go there. As far as I'm concerned, my dad brought me up to, the manners will carry you throughout the world without you having a penny in your pocket, yeah? And first you must laugh at yourself before you laugh at others.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever come across a guy called Lennon Honor?
No.
No, he's an American guy, and he's done. I watched. He used to do lots of different videos, and I used to watch him live when I came in from, because he's in California. When I was DJing, I used to get in at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And he'd be online doing his live things, so I'd be watching him. And he did one on race, and it was the most incredible thing that. When you listen to what he said, he's a black guy, black American guy. He's married to a mixed race woman who's mixed. I think she's mixed Native American and Senegalese, and I think the what's that island just off Africa? Anyway, she was from. What he did is he broke down their individual races and then said, how do I put myself into one particular category? I can't really, because I've got some European in me, I've got some Cape Verde, that was the island. Cape Verde, I've got some of this, I've got some of that, and he went through, and then he said, and then he made the point that if you'd have said 800 years to somebody, what race are you? They wouldn't have understood. They wouldn't have understood what that meant, right? And yet, when we understand that there are different people that have just got different physical features, that's all they really are. The different people, the same as us, but they've just got different physical features. But if you look at the word itself, race, it implies a competition.
Yes.
It implies a competition. It's a race. We're all having a race against each other, and that's how they divide us up. If we could all just get rid of that, then things would be a lot different. But the governments are exacerbating, and I believe perhaps that the things that have been going on this week, particularly with the royal lizard being born and the Windrush. Scandal that's been coming out. I think the royal lizard and then a royal wedding in a couple of weeks' time is the reason why this came out at this time, so that it would be in the news and people would be putting pressure on the likes of Theresa May and Amber Rudd, and yet after a couple of weeks everyone will have forgotten about it. Just like, I'm not talking about people like us. I'm talking about the general public.
Mm-hmm. That's it. I mean, I see them as when things happen like that, is that what are they passing? What bills are they passing? What legislation are they passing under the noses? Do you understand what I mean? Well, you'll get this big news, and then in a month or 2 months' time, you find out that a bill's been passed. And I think that I think that the whole thing, whether it be a false flag or an event or whatever else, I think they're in place for governments to pass whatever laws they need to do to gain that little bit more shushness on us, if you know what I mean. I say shushness by them quieting us down, whether it be freedom of speech or anything. But I'm sure they use events like that to distract us from the real thing. And even going back to the Windrush thing, is that I was talking to Dave Witcher the other day, and I also said to him, is that it could be put in place, all this could be put in place at the minute, because these people that are part of the Windrush generation, their children, their kids, and everything else, could be in groups like the Dragons and everything else that are against the government and corporations and such like. And for them to introduce something like this Windrush scandal, it's going to take them away from the important stuff, which is getting rid of the governments and the corporations and everything else. Just a theory of mine. And you can see it really with the stuff that they're doing. They're trying to backtrack. They're trying to do this. It's confusion to the people that are there. So I don't know. It's sad.
Do you not find, Owen, that it's almost like things like what you were just talking about? Then the mix-ups that they're doing in this, the getting rid of the wrong people out of this country. It's not just a distraction from something that they're doing. I think it's a distraction from the fucking sheer humiliation that these politicians have brought upon themselves and this fucking country. We are the laughingstock. We are the laughingstock of the world right now. The Russians, Sergei Lavrov, he's got such a dry wit about him. And he's been asked questions about the British politicians, and you can just see it in his face that he wants to just unload a load of fucking grief on it, and he just goes, there's no point. There's basically no point in talking about it. It's ridiculous. We've gone from it being highly likely that it's the Russians that have poisoned these two Russians to...
Didn't they know that from the start? Didn't they know that from the start? I mean, I know we did.
But no, well, it was highly likely, but there was still no evidence. Now, since then, we've had all the evidence come out that, well, if you're saying that this agent is as horrible as it is, why is nobody else dying? Why are police stood next to it with no protective clothing? Why is it coming out that the Novichok was actually patented in the US? So there's all these other questions, but you're still saying that it was the Russians. There's something got to be needed to distract us, because we're going, didn't you say it was the Russians? Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't you say, you said it was the Russians. No, it's not the Russians, it is. They haven't got a fucking clue, but the people, the general public that I deal with or I speak to are still not, they know there's something wrong going, but they can't They can't get past it.
And this is what I'm finding really, really confusing when I look on social media and stuff like that, and obviously the people that I associate with, like yourselves and everything else, and the stories that whether we place them on social media or not, is that we have a clue of that there's something not right. We've all challenged the things that aren't right, and yet some people, I don't even think, I'm not even going to call it scared to find out what's going on anymore, because I just think it's too obvious. Everything that's going on now is too obvious for people not to be scared. You know, when they do all that la 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 la, that can't eat, it's all bad news.
Yeah,
it's gone way past that now. You know, it's like you were saying, people have to wait until it personally affects them. It should never have to. If they're noticing something is wrong now's the time to shout up, isn't it?
Certainly
sorry
is.
lads. I'm getting Dave Von Kleist is ringing me.
All right, well, you take Dave's call and just you can jump back in at any point, can't you? You can you can leave this call and then answer him and just explain to him, because
if you answer Dave, it'll just put this call on hold, mate.
Right, no worries. I'll give him a bell back.
All right, no worries. Yeah, well, also as well, there's an awful lot of people who are still probably of the mindset that, oh yeah, Russia did it, like Russia did everything, but the truth is out there if you care to find it. But in the meantime, school dinners have gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's
mad,
that,
isn't it?
it's that classic distraction technique. They're essentially using a very low level of magic. Well, it's not really magic, it's conjuring tricks, but I know they do use magic in the very, very strictest sense of it. But this is just a conjuring trick. Look over there, and while you're looking at that hand, this hand's picking your pocket.
It's true. It's. I just can't get over the obviousness of it. You know, I mean, maybe it's because, you know, been through it myself and see, you know, personally. But even from here, you know, looking at the things that's going on in the UK and Europe as a whole, I just don't get it. You can see. What was it? I think it was yourself, Jason, you'd mentioned about 3 headlines in a paper. And that summed it up.
Yeah, yesterday, yeah.
Listening to that just summed it all up, you know, because, quite rightly so, is out of those 3 stories that you talk about the third, well, blokes, wouldn't they? You know, but the other 2 stories, the stories, well, not even the royal lizard isn't an important story, and then the others. I don't understand it. I mean, it's priority.
I can think of one story that should have been in there instead of any of those stories last night that were on the top stories. The top stories on the BBC were 1, bullshit, 2, bollocks, and 3, crap. Right? Now, I understand. They talk about the Royal Bank. You know, today I tweet. I very rarely tweet. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm on @Beckham Coverup. But I do follow the BBC because I do follow the BBC presenters because I like to see what they're doing. I like to see what they're talking about without having to listen to them. And Rachel Burden, now I didn't hear the interview, but she was having Alfie's dad on, and I gather from what I've seen from people commenting on the interview, and I've not listened to it myself, I want to make that exclusively clear so that nobody can go, oh, you didn't listen to it, so you don't fucking know. But I can work it out. And they said that all it was they were having a go at them about all the people that were storming the hospital yesterday, which has nothing to do with them, nothing to do with the parents or with the child. That's to do with the people that were doing that, the people that were causing the public disorder. That's all the questions were. It was nothing about Alfie himself. Perhaps maybe, and you know what? Without even hearing it, I can probably imagine that they've said all this stuff and, you know, about this, and then right at the very end said, and how is Alfie? You know, and that sort of thing. So, well, when she tweeted that it was coming on, I tweeted her back a reply saying, at last you're going to be talking about a baby that people care about.
Right.
And that's the people. There might be less people that care about Alfie's situation, but those people care far more than the people that are just waving a flag and just going, yeah, look at that. Oh, the royal. But I saw a tweet as well that somebody had put the royal baby. They reported the BBC. The royal baby is doing well. And someone put underneath. Yeah, he's like not even 24 hours old. He's a prince already. He's rich beyond all his wildest dreams that he could ever have, and he's never going to have to work a day in his life. So he's fucking blasting it. He's not just doing well. He's fucking. He's smashing it, isn't it?
And once again, I don't know. It's something that I heard we were talking about frequencies. I was talking to somebody about it a few years ago, and is that high and low frequencies. So obviously, announce a new royal baby, the frequencies are going to be high because everybody's happy. And you don't want to hear anything negative about anything else because it's supposed to be a day when we're wanting a really good vibe from the people. It's just that it's sad that I'm going to say it again. Priorities have gone, haven't they? I would rather fight for a life to still be here than for one that has it all. That's my view. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Look, I just, the amount of times that people say you couldn't make it up. The amount of times you get somebody and they go, you couldn't make it up, could you? Well, most of the time I'm wanting to say, well, somebody fucking did. Somebody has made it up. Somebody has popped this baby out on St George's Day of all days, for God's sake. Yeah. On the same day, what I think Paul's is still. Are you still talking to Dave, Paul? No, right, okay.
No, just texted him.
You were saying yesterday, weren't you, about apparently somebody had said that Diana had given her blessing to Camilla to become queen. I mean, for God's sake, honestly.
What?
From beyond the grave, Diana sent a message from beyond the grave.
What's the name of that? There's a guy, there's some spiritualist guy that was on mainstream TV. Is he doing it? Is he doing the messaging? Is he saying?
Derek Ricora.
Is it Derek? Is it Mr. Ricora that's passed the message through? Just coming
I don't know if Sam's in with the Royals.
Mary Loves Cock. Anybody remember that? Derek Ricora, Mary Loves Cock. If you haven't seen that, you have got to watch it on YouTube. He's in a place and he's saying, it's coming through. Oh, Mary Loves Cock. Mary Loves Cock. Oh, sorry, Mary Loves Dick, not Cock. Mary Loves Dick. Mary Loves Dick. And so if anybody's not seen that, go on YouTube. Derek Ricora, his name's got an H on the end of it. Derek Ricora, Mary Loves Dick. It is a classic scene from Most Haunted thing that used to be on. I think it probably were him.
My word. So I'm going to ask you, how was the weather today in the UK, guys?
Pissed down all day here.
Your mic's not on, Andy.
Mike's not on.
Sorry, mate. It's back to normal here. Grey skies, pissing down, blowing a gale. Just about normal for the time of year, really.
Yeah, we had a day and a half of sunshine, didn't we? That's all we're entitled to. We don't pay enough taxes.
I suppose that's my plus point then, really. I mean, it's been raining again, but it's not. It's just starting now where the temperature's just beginning to climb. So it's getting rather nice.
Just before we go any further,
watch out! Super Leeds is in the chat.
Super Leeds wants to know if Mary's single. And I've put the link for that Derek Ricora video. I haven't watched it myself, but I just found it quickly. I'll put it in the chat room. I'll try and share it on the Facebook feeds as well.
Brilliant. That would be good to have a look at with that. Oh, my network connection is saying poor. It keeps flashing up on there. So if I do fizzle off, gentlemen, I do apologise.
No worries, mate. We can only do what we can.
Sorry.
I say we can only do what we can do. I think it's quite remarkable that you're out in the middle of nowhere in Portugal, living off grid, and we've got a way better connection than we had with Pippa King, who was in London last week.
Yeah, that's true.
I actually missed the show. I'm gonna have to listen to that back on the Raconteurs news page there, because I missed that one. I think I wasn't having a good night. The last 24 hours have been really bad. I spoke to Andy yesterday and told him that I possibly wasn't going to make the show. I had a bit of a panic on because I've not many people. I've had 2 heart attacks in my life, one at 35 and one at 37. And to be honest, the pain I had in the last 24 hours really did scare me. The nearest hospital is miles away from here. And I spent most of the day laid down because I had chest pains. It felt like a bear hug yesterday. I was just constantly being bear hugged yesterday. But like I say, I've come here to live the lifestyle that I've wanted to do, which means I don't rely on the Portuguese state. I don't rely on the UK state, which I could do if I wanted to, but I don't. So it's my choice. I had to deal with it yesterday, so I was actually most of the day on my back, breathing exercises, just trying to get rid of all the pain. And you know what? I felt a lot better this morning, but it was hard. I have 24 hours.
Well, I'm pleased
I hear you, brother.
Pleased you've got that improvement. I think we should maybe change the name from Raconteurs News to Heart Attacks Are Us.
Yay!
we got 5 between us.
Yeah.
Owen, just going back to what we started talking about, all this, the racism and stuff like that. I just come across this funny article here. Florida teen's cotton-picking proposal goes horribly wrong and is branded racist online by outraged social media commenters. Have you seen it?
No.
There's a white kid who's obviously going to ask a girl out to the prom, and he's gone and made a sign, and he's stood here with this sign, and the sign says, "If I was black, I'd be picking cotton, but I'm white, so I'm picking you." Prom? Question mark.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah, he's been quite lambasted online.
Has he moved town?
I think he may have to, mate. Oh my god.
Oh, what? It's just 101 things not to say, isn't it? My God.
I must admit, I could have picked a better analogy myself.
That is so bizarre. I mean, just going back to earlier on that I was saying about my dad and the way, what he instilled on us. I can remember when my two daughters were young, and we were going to the local town to do some shopping. And obviously, when you're with kids and they're small and everything else, they want to sit on the top of the bus and, have a look out the window. So I said, yeah, cool, that's fine. We'll go and sit upstairs. So we were sat, obviously, going into town to do a shopping. But there was 2 other children on the bus with the parents. And these kids were running up and down the bus. And they were saying, talking to each other and whispering and then giggling and running back. And about on the 4th time, we heard the blacking word.
Right.
Obviously, I've just sat there and just as you do, it goes over your head.
Right.
And then 2 or 3 times, they carried on doing it. So at that point, then obviously I did want to say something. But as I turned round to look at the parents were laughing. So obviously it's like a red rag to a bull, and I was seething at the time. I did get to stand up. And the mother of my children at the time said, "No, Owen, don't do anything." I said, No, just leave it with me. I want to go and say something. So I actually got up, walked to the back of these parents and sat down behind them. And I let them forward and I said to them, "Listen, when your kids are teenagers and they've come home and they've been beaten up by Asian or black kids, remember today, because I've done fuck all." And I walked away. A, because I didn't want my kids to see me be violent.
Yeah.
And B, it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame now that it's like we're going backwards rather than forwards. And that's what I see, you know, with the whole Windrush thing that's going on. We're going backwards.
By design.
If we could just go back to the heart attack thing, I've just had a piece of advice sent me on a PM from Rob, who's listening, and I don't know if you're aware, but vitamin C is highly recommended. I did see a talk given by a guy called, what's his name? Paul Anthony Taylor at New Horizons a couple of years ago, and there's some foundation that he works for, and they've pretty much nailed down the evidence that most heart conditions and heart disease is basically an early stage of scurvy. So if you get some liquid vitamin C down, I know you've got vitamin C growing all around you.
Yeah. Every day. Every day I have. I've been picking some grapefruits up today as well. So, yeah. And everything's just coming back into fruit in the garden as well, which is really, really good. I'm looking forward to this year with all the fruit trees we have. Which have plenty going on. Everything seems
apparently we've had a bit of a problem with Facebook Live, and it's frozen up and gone down.
All right.
Yeah,
so if you're watching on Facebook Live, if you can just give us some sort of thumbs up and let us know that you can hear us and you can see us and what have you. I think everybody's bloody gone. It's just like they just seem to, everyone's disappeared. It's stopped, so everyone's gone, and now it's back on again, and we're down to 2 people. But I'm sure they'll all come back. So if you can just give us some sort of indication on Facebook Live whether you can hear us or not, and until then, we'll carry on Spreaker. Sorry, guys, I just interrupted. Just carry on with where you were.
No problem at all. I forgot where I was. Was I anywhere at all? Well,
if you just go back to the Windrush things, how do you think that may affect your daughters? Do you think that because your parents could have been?
Well, it's just like I was saying before. It's like we're going backwards again. It's like opening up old wounds, isn't it? And if you ever were going to get people that are on the fence to whether people should stay or go or not, introducing something like this will only enforce that person's beliefs all the more. Which then again you're gonna get families talking, aren't you? And then when families get talking, that's where it's the worst time. It's the worst time ever to bring stuff in like this, because if you look at UK and how multicultural it is, yeah, people have friends of friends. People know black people. People know mixed race people, this, that, and the other. By introducing something like that, which would separate people, it's just going to cause conflict.
Well, that's exactly, you've just hit the nail on the head as to why it's happening now. They're not doing it at the wrong time at all. This is exactly what they want. They want this conflict. They want people concentrating down here whilst they keep fucking robbing everything up there. And we're so easy. The animals on the farm do as they're told, and that's what most of the animals are still doing.
Yeah.
You can't get away from it, Owen. It's even people who are actually going into the system now and challenging the system from within the system, using the system's own legislation, are being fucked off. So you are actually going and beating them at their own game, but they're just sticking the things in their ears now, and then ignorant police officers are just going to act out what they're told to act out. It's nothing new, is it? We've seen all this before. When we start talking about racism, it's always been the black. From me being born, Owen, it was always black people that had been suppressed. I didn't know there was so many more other people that had been slaves. I didn't know that white people were slaves. I didn't know the Irish were bloody slaves.
I did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. But you go and learn this stuff, and then all of a sudden, your outlook on life has to change. It can't stay the same. And that's where I found I was losing a lot of friends and that, because, like the people who were sat at the back of the bus laughing at their kids saying the word blackie, You know, when you were going back from the era where I was growing up, there'd be lots of white people who were doing that, but they would never go up to a black person and say something like that. Wouldn't have the balls. Never mind anything else, they wouldn't do it. But so I see how things have evolved. But things like that, I never saw it as a colour thing, me. I just saw that somebody was being bullied. And I've always put myself in that bully's position, that person who's being bullied position. And it's not a comfortable feeling. I was bullied at school, in my younger years at school, and it's not a nice feeling. You feel isolated. To have that then given to you as just because of it was a colour, never mind being fat or anything other than that, it starts to eat away at your personality. You've got to be a strong person to overcome stuff like bullying. I mean, I know a lot of people who become permanent victims just because they were bullied at school, and it takes a lot to stand up to them.
I can tell you something that I didn't suss out until years after, is that, you know, when you're at school and you have the popular ones, you know, the popular kids that hang together, the boys and girls and this, that and the other. And I at the time, I was into doing my school dramas and things like that. I was in the plays, doing lead roles and what have you. And I remember being accepted just before the end, before leaving school. And I'm going to bring this up in particular if anybody's listening in that did go to the same school as I did, because it's quite revealing, really. But for a time, as I was accepted into the group, I had a nickname. And you know what? I stuck with the nickname. They called me Reggin, if you write it down. Reggin. Just write it down. And I accepted it. And just any time they called me, I went to them.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Those people, seriously, this is seriously. I'm sure there are one or two of them that are on my friends list at the moment. I still remember this. I remember it, you know, from the day I sussed what that was. I remember it. And it's so sad. I forgive you for that. I really do forgive you for that, because the world's a bigger, better and brighter place. But, you know, what I just hope that their kids aren't in the same mindset as they were back then. That's all I can say. And I had to say that because it's been plaguing my mind.
That's a prison for them, though, isn't it? You know, if anybody's in that mindset, that's a prison for them. They're stuck in that prison. I was bullied relentlessly at school by 5 kids, right? 4 of them are now dead, so it did them a lot of good, right? Wow. And one of them I recently befriended and sort of went, but I wanted to go back, you know what I mean, through what I didn't want to go through it with him. I wanted to see whether he thought that he could still treat me in the same way that he treated me back then. And it were a number of years, it must be 30 years ago, perhaps even 32 years ago. But I wanted to see whether he treated me in the same way, and at first he did try to, but then what he did is, you know, when he tried to do that, I showed him some kindness, and I know he's a football fan, so I lent him my season tickets, so he could go and watch football. I know he couldn't. I know he didn't go very often, so that's what I did. And he went and watched football, and so I showed him some kindness, and so I got something from that. You know what I mean? I felt like I've overcome this now. The other 4 I've got no control over because they're already dead. But you know the other one, the single one, and I think that's quite cathartic. You know, when you do that and you face something like you were saying on the bus, when you got these people and they were obviously being derogatory to you, not because you were wearing glasses, but because of the pigmentation in your skin. And so, I mean, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world anyway, because what do white people do? They go on holiday to try and get brown. You know, you get these big, like, bald-headed, you know, they've got these big muscles and the bulldog thing down here. They're in Benidorm, they're trying to get a tan. They're trying to look like the very people that they purport to hate. So, you know, the whole thing is just completely ridiculous in all its senses.
Well, Owen was white when he lived in Bolton.
And do you know what? This is no. I have gone darker since being here. I have acclimatized. But it's.
I'm going, Owen. You're going to have to ask Andy to put
Oh, sorry, man. I got me mic mute. I went on holiday to Turkey a few years ago when I was married. Well, it must be nearly 20 now. And there was a guy who was very dark-skinned in the hotel. And I was quite confused when I saw him out laying on a sunbed. I thought, what the fuck's going on here? And I actually had a chat with him, and he went, no, we get darker. And I went, oh, fucking hell, I never realised that, mate. Oh, thanks for filling me in on that. And we ended up going out to dinner. He was a lovely bloke. He was a hairdresser from Nottingham, I think. Absolutely fantastic bloke. He bought shitloads of clothes.
It's a shame that people don't have the sense of humour anymore. I remember going on. I was going on holiday, and I remember going into a co-op's chemist, and going to the counter and saying to the lady, "I want those sunglasses, and could I have that sun cream, please?" So she reached behind and put it on the counter. And as I went to my wallet to give her the money, I looked at the glasses, smiled, looked at her, smiled, looked at the suntan lotion, looked at her, looked at my hand, looked at her, looked at the suntan lotion, and went, really? And she took it in jest. And that's what I loved about it. Rather than people going, oh, I can't do anything about, what if my boss sees me? It's nonsense.
Yeah, I've got a similar story. We were in Mallorca in 2010, and it was the first holiday that me and my wife had together, and it was the first holiday that I took my daughter on, and I think she was about 13 at that time. But they were, there was all the kids all got together, and then they were all on this, all got together at a club, and we're all organised. They were in Mallorca. And there was this kid. His name was Colton. It weren't Carlton. Everyone used to call him Carlton. It was Colton, Coleton, right? And he was a mixed race kid, but he was darker than he was white. He was darker than your average mixed race kid. His dad was black, his mum was white. And anyway, one day I was sat, and my daughter were next to me, and there were all these kids all on sunbeds, and my wife were there, and and then this rep came along, and she went, "Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do this thing this afternoon, this event. And what we do is we just get loads of chocolate, and we eat it, and we make things, and we make these things, and yada yada yada." And she said, and when you come out, your face will be covered in chocolate. And this mixed race kid said to her, and he must have only been about 10 or 11, he said to her, "My face already is." And she just didn't know what to do, where to put her face or anything. I pissed myself. She did not know what the fuck to do.
If a little one can say stuff like that, listen, that's a lesson for all of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? A lesson for all of us. Absolutely.
But it's people watch themselves, don't you find, Owen, that people govern themselves, and it's strangling anybody who wants to have a sense of humour or anything like that, because they get too scared. There was a couple of work colleagues of mine. They went out around some schools doing some talks, and you know what it's like with young kids, and the kids that they were going up to do demonstrations with that. There was one kid who was being just naughty. He was just being a little bugger. That's all he was being. And she went, "Come here, you little monkey," like that. And then realised that she was talking to a black kid. And all of a sudden, she said, "I felt all the blood drain out of my face. I felt sick because I thought, have I just offended somebody?" Now, fortunately, nobody had batted an eyelid because they accepted it. It was in the connotation as it was.
If I would have been there, I would have done it in the same. I would have taken it in the same context. I would not have taken that as a racist slur against a child. It's nonsense. And that's what it's all about.
Listen to this one. This one's even better. my mate's booking people in at the desk, and he's got his head down. He doesn't see anybody until they're actually in front of him. And everyone who's booking them in, he's saying, right, can you go and sit on table H7 for us, and blah, blah, blah. And he's already said this to a couple of other people. There's like tree plants, and he said, don't be playing with the plants or anything like that. These are adults he's talking to. So he's just messing about. Anyway, he's looking down, he says, yeah, can you go and sit on I1 for us, and don't climb the trees? And he didn't look up. And this fella said, why are you saying that? And he looks up at a black man, and a black woman who's there with a white woman. And he didn't know what to say. He's looking at this black man who's saying, what do you mean by that? He went, are you saying you don't climb the tree because she looks like a monkey? Is that what you're saying? He goes, no. No. He went, I'm only joking. She does look like a monkey. He's going, no, I didn't mean it like that. He went, oh, don't worry about it. I'm only joking. He went, and his sister starts laughing as well. So don't worry about it. Anyway, he goes over to the table. Fella comes back with a tray, and he goes to the Pops bar and gets chocolate sandwiches and everything. And he comes back over to my mate on the desk, and he says, any chance you can do me a favour? And my mate goes, I thought, I can redeem myself here. I'm gonna help this fella with whatever he needs. And he says, of course I can, mate. How can I help you? He went, well, he says, that Pops bar there, he says, you sell quite a lot of different stuff. He says, I've got sandwiches and chocolate, and he says, I've got drinks and that. He says, but could I make a suggestion for what you could sell there? And he goes, yeah, mate, what do you think? He went, well, I haven't got any fruit for the monkey over there. Could you get us some fruit in? And he went, that again? Because he'd just done him twice with the same joke about his sister. And
Yes.
And that was a sense of humour. There was nothing there. And that was instigated from the black fellow who said, I can't even remember his name now. He did tell me his name. And he said, it's what we do. He says, it's what me and our kid do. He says, we'll make a joke about racism because
I agree with that as well, because you can sometimes know. I remember when I was in the UK, I knew the time where I could just step in and just throw that little line, that little curveball.
Yeah.
Especially when I've heard people having quite a heated discussion about race. And I'd just simply walk past them and just throw them a curveball in. Like, for instance, let me just say I was working on a bar and Frank Bruno was boxing. But I remember being in the same bar following, the last previous week's gone, and hearing guys making racist comments about people of colour, yeah? So during this fight, I managed to get up and collect glasses right in front of the screen. So obviously these guys were telling me to sit down and get out of the way of the fucking screen, this, that, the other one. But you're watching a black man on TV, lads. To see that. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where they'll, oh yeah, it's great. But they're great, aren't they? Even words like that, they're great, is insulting enough more than anybody saying nigger, coon, or whatever. Yeah. When they refer to people of colour by, oh yeah, them, or I asked them. That kind of thing, it's more upsetting than a person being called what they're called.
So what you're saying, Owen, them is...
Sorry, separate. If somebody says they're great, then you're separating yourself from another whole fucking group of people, aren't you? You know what I mean? We're all fucking human beings. We said they're great, and if someone said to me they're great, I'd say, ooh, who's great? And well, black people, well, yeah, they're great, yeah. There's some great ones, there's some shit ones, but there's also great white people, there's also great Asian people, there's also great fucking, everybody, there's great and there's shit. But anyway, listen, we are at the hour mark, so I think it's about time we took a bit of a comfort break and played a couple of records. I think Andy's probably busting him. We're trying to jump in there at the last couple of attempts. I think he's probably busting. So, Andy, what you got lined up for us, mate?
I've got a couple of Bob Marley tracks on, but I just want to tell you the joke that got played on me before we play them. When I was married, I had a stepdaughter, and she used to go to a childminder after school and before school, or whatever it was, I can't remember now. And this childminder was a
without any sound, but it's 10 seconds behind. So I see myself, and then I see Andy again giving me the thumbs up, and I think, oh shit, have we already started or what? But no. Anyway, welcome back. We've been having a great discussion. I just want to, first of all, before we move on, I want to tell you about what we've got coming up next week. Next week, we've got, on Monday, we've got Ian Crane is going to be coming on. We're going to be talking fracking, 5G, trees, and all sorts of different things. So Ian Crane's going to be on next Monday. That's the 30th of April. And on Tuesday, the 1st of May, we've got, we've got the man. When we have Adadi on, I'm the man that woke him up. Now, this is the man that woke me up. This is the first film I ever watched. 9/11 in plain sight, and the creator of that, David von Kleist, who has plenty of information on what happened in the 9/11 truth movement, or as he calls it now, the 9/11 bowel movement. He's going to be joining us next Tuesday from 7 o'clock. So he doesn't give interviews anymore. He doesn't do very much. I think this is probably the first time people have heard from him for years. So don't miss that, David von Kleist. And if you've not seen it, go to YouTube or your favourite video sharing website and just have a look for 9/11 in plain sight, and also 9/11 ripple effect, I think. And that's where, incidentally, that's where Muad'Dib got his inspiration for 7/7 ripple effect, was from watching 9/11 ripple effect. So that's next week. Don't forget to join us for that, and just don't miss it. It's just going to be awesome next week. The following week, it's a bank holiday. I don't know what we're going to do Monday. We're going to have to decide what we're going to do Monday. I'm not going to be here Tuesday because I'm having an operation on Tuesday, so I won't be here Tuesday, but I'll be back the following week. So maybe the guys, we might put something together for Bank Holiday Monday, and if the guys are going to do something on Tuesday, then perhaps there'll be something Tuesday or next week. But I don't know what. So let's get back to tonight. Where were we and where are we going?
Let me just. I just want to. We were talking about the old Windrush, weren't we, early in the first half, and the potential effects it might have on my kids.
Yeah, do you know what? Do you know what I wanted to ask you about that, Owen? I wanted to ask you: Have you spoken to your kids about it? About that situation?
I haven't as of yet, because my kids still need the waking up. My kids are in the 20s at the minute, and one's just finished university, one's actually working at the moment, and they're very much into the makeup and the going out and things like that. And although there are things that are going to wake them up, I don't want to step into their lives, because I went through the same thing of, not obviously dressing the way they dress, but during my early 20s is going out and having fun. So it would only be fair for me as a father to let them have their fun, and then just mention one or two things that are happening right in front of them.
Yeah.
I can't say any better than that.
I think that's all you can do, mate. I certainly know people who've kept the kids in and under wraps and mollycoddled them, and I don't think they're doing them any favours. That. It's a bloody nasty world out there. People. I've never known the world so corrupt. Do you know what I mean? From local to national level to international level, everything is corrupt, from local councils and services right the way through. Everything is corrupt. Everybody can see it. Nobody wants to do anything. And we were talking about this last night, that it seems to be that it'll only happen when it actually comes round to knock on somebody's door or say that we're going to do this or the other. It seems that people won't take action until they're actually forced into it, but I think that time's coming. I don't think there's much place to hide these days now.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? I just want to just when we were talking about Windrush, the other thing that I'm good, and that's the last time I say that name, by the way, because it's the Monte Rosa was the name of the ship, and it was only changed by the Empire. They changed the name to it, and as I found out, I think it was once again through last night's show, even Tony Blair has a little company with the name of the aforementioned name, but I'm now going to continue calling it the Monte Rosa and not the original not the next name that it was given. It's a bit like my stance on the word marijuana. I never use it because that's a derogatory term that was used way back before the Cancer Act. Cannabis, ganja. That's what
you
I
might be
use
interested.
Say again?
You might be interested, Owen, in having a look at Gordon Bowden stuff, because talking about the Windrush and the Tony Blair company, that Tony Blair company was at Finchley Road where Gordon Bowden was doing all his investigating. Gordon's been and had his photograph took at the new address where Tony Blair's company's now moved to.
Right.
So there's a lot of information out there. I mean, Gordon's even said that he's willing to stand in a court and testify against all these people. Well, if he's a crank and he doesn't know what he's talking about, why not do him? Why not put him in court? Why not send him down? Why not section him? Why not do all this stuff to him that you say you can do? Because stuff will come out that they don't want to come out.
Exactly that. Exactly. And I think that's what's happening. The shift's moved.
Yeah.
The shift is it's that we have the power to turn this around and back in our control.
It's quite an easy thing. It's quite an easy thing if people do something, rather than keep sitting around and waiting for somebody to do something. Because if we all sit around and wait, then that's all we're going to be doing is waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Got to start somewhere. We've got to start somewhere and start with something really simple. Start by learning first. Start reading, start learning about what you may have to use in the end. This isn't cut and dry. It doesn't mean that you just get up tomorrow morning and say, right, that's it, I'm not paying for any of my bills. I know how that would devastate people's lives. I know what trouble that would bring. But at least look at it. Look at what you could challenge. TV licensing, is that really necessary? I don't watch television, so it's a piece of piss. It's little things. If you want to start challenging on the little things. Get a bit of confidence, but learn it. Learn it before you do anything.
You see it on Facebook all the time, don't you? People. I've seen it on some of the bailiff ads or bailiff advice or whatever you want to call them, where people have put the pictures on and gone, "Is this how I do the 3-letter process?" Now, seriously, how are they going to get an answer from somebody? Are they expecting pictures and diagrams and graphs back? It's hard to do it like that. So you have to research it and know what you're doing in the first place. Not, I've done the 3-letter process, is this okay, by showing it? Because you're not going to get the input that you need, are you? To complete the information you've got. If you research it all, the 3 letters that you've written should be spot on, shouldn't they? It's like with anything, if you do the full research of the subject matter, it's not a problem. And I can say that out of experience myself as well, is that without getting all the information through, I don't think me and my ex-wife would have been half as successful with the things that we did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the time was spent to research the subject matter. And it's easy. Pick your subject. Right.
I remember chatting to you and your missus at that time, and we were talking about the utilities, and all you were doing was just asking questions, and that's what you need to do. Because without asking the questions, you're never going to get any idea about what you're talking about. You need to bounce that off somebody. You can't just.
I have a visitor, so just bear with me for a second. Back in a second. Sorry, guys.
No. Our guest is. Go on. Sorry, Andy, but you have to turn your mic on, mate.
My mic is on.
Oh right, okay.
I would just had a quick look. That company, Tony Blair's relevant to that, was Windrush Ventures. Now there's a company called Windrush Ventures #1, and when you look at it, it's got a certain company of secretaries as a director, and when you look in that, there's about 450 directors involved. But one of the first ones that comes up is Prince Mohammed bin, and I'm thinking, whoa. Oh, I'm sure Gordon's onto that one already.
I'm sure Gordon is. I'm sure he is.
Oh yeah, of course it will be. Yeah, we're about 20 past, aren't we?
We are bang on.
Our guest has just had a visitor. It's probably a bailiff, but we've just walked past, so he's probably back. So it's not taking very long to get rid of that bailiff. Who was at the door? Owen.
It was just a kind neighbour leaving me some fruit and veg, as we do.
You see,
and that's what's really great about here is that I can be away somewhere or whatever else. I'll come back and there's 3 or 4 bags of fruit and veg that people have grown themselves and they have excess of. And that's what's brilliant about it.
That's what's missing. That's what's missing.
Yeah.
My dad lives in a community where they do the same sort of thing. I mean, it's only in Yorkshire, it's an ex-mining village, but they do the same thing. They've all got allotments. Well, a lot of them have got allotments, and they grow the food and they share it between themselves. They leave it about. So, yeah, it's just something that we seem to be missing in. Because we're becoming more and more urbanised, and we're getting further and further away so we're getting closer and closer to people. So we don't actually need to check up whether they're okay. Because there's a good part to that, isn't there? You go and drop some food off for somebody. You can also go and check if they're quite isolated. You can go and check whether they're okay and whether they're they're coping with whatever they've got going on. Oh. There we go. I think Owen. I did think Owen then was practicing for the Olympics at musical statues, but unfortunately he was frozen. His video was frozen, so we'll try and get him back.
Yeah.
He did say earlier on that he had a difficult internet connection. I don't want to say all that again. I just said, what am I going to do when he comes back on?
When he comes back, just go, Owen, fuck off.
Yeah, some fucking peas, will you? For fuck's sake. Have you not heard of the England pea famine? The only thing that English people ate were peas, and now the like, some rogue Welsh geezer or some rogue Irish geezer or a rogue Scottish geezer has introduced a genetic disease to peas, a bit like myxomatosis with rabbits back in the day.
It looks like we've got Owen back on.
If you bring Ben Gilroy, you can bring potatoes. You can bring this fella who's got peas. All we need is somebody who's got gravy, and we're sorted.
Exactly. Owen, you're back.
Don't know what happened.
No, neither do we. Did you hear anything of what I was saying? Or otherwise, we'll just ditch that question because I can't remember all the it were quite long.
No, I didn't. I didn't hear a word. It went off.
Okay. All right. Well, how do you like your peas?
What?
How do you like your peas?
Peas.
Listen, sorry, it's a bit of a joke between us three while you were away, so you were involved in it, but we were talking about peas. I do apologise. Anyway, what we were talking about?
All my technology is going on me tonight, guys. I don't know what's going on.
You're talking about the community, Jason.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were talking about the community. That somebody had brought you some vegetables, and I was just saying that my dad. He's got an allotment, and his other allotment people, the people around him in allotments, and the people in the village where he lives. It's an old mining village in Yorkshire. They all do that as well. And do you know what? I once got some cherry tomatoes off one of my dad's mates. And you see, I never get any of this fruit because it's that fruit and veg because it's that nice. I got these cherry tomatoes off my dad. My dad's mate had grown them, and he says, "I've got some of these here. You can have them." So I took them away, and then he ate one while I was in car driving home. And by the time I got home, I'd eaten them all. So sweet, this off the allotment. And the guy probably, I don't know, pissed on his crops and put his own poo on them to grow it and what have you, and to water them and that. But it just tasted so nice. All this organic stuff, and that I think that's important. And I think the point I was making is that the more and more people are centralised, the less and less these sort of things are happening. You know, the more people are placed into cities and close to cities and in the urban areas, the less and less that this sort of thing's going to happen. And that's a shame. And it's something that we really should stick to. But we seem to have just lost our way a little bit, and we seem to have been led by these devils with pound notes away from, you know, what we know and what we can actually achieve ourselves.
Well, I saw the other day something else that it's quite on a similar vein, really, because you can see them trying to pull people away from nature, yeah, and away from, you know, organic foods and the likes. But I saw something once again on Facebook the other day, which was a CPR machine, yeah, which was operated by 3 people, and what they did, obviously, somebody was doing the old pressing on the chest and everything else. And then these 2 paramedics turned along with this, what looked like a suitcase, and they folded it up and then put the patient onto it. And then they wrapped something over both sides, which did the compressing. Yeah? So obviously the nurse that was doing that didn't do it anymore. Now, I made a comment on that page, was brilliant. I love the idea of it. I like, you know, great concept. However, you're losing the human contact. And if you look at
exactly what was just in my head then, Owen. That was exactly what was in my head. The human contact is probably the key element in that.
Exactly. And that's a comment that I made, is that the human contact is the most important thing there. We all feel a heartbeat. We all feel the heartbeat. But yes, it's good to have a machine doing it, especially if you're fatigued or if you're an older person, you can't do the compressing. But it's the human touch that we all need. Same again with we need to be in touch with Mother Nature. We need to be connected, and I do it. You know, I'm never will be ashamed of doing it. I do get up in the morning, I walk out, and I go barefoot because I need to ground myself. And it's right. It's all part of the human body, by grounding yourself, being close to earth, and then taking it away. And like you were saying, going on about allotments. Before, another reason why I find myself here is because I wanted the space to grow. And over in Bolton, where I was on the list for 4 or 5 years, and it's strange because I would go in at 14th, which I did. Then I went down to 7th. Then I went to 15th. So on this list, of the waiting list for to get an allotment, I was going down and I was going back up again. And it was strange because obviously I live quite near the allotment, so I would take the odd walk down there with my camera and everything else. And one particular day, there was guys there putting in services. Now, there was only one house down there which belonged to an ex-Bolton football player, professional football player. And there wasn't any other houses around. So to me, obviously, as I did find out, is that what you'll find is that a lot of these allotments are being sold off because the greenfield sites and developers are taking them over. And it's such a, and this is what I noticed they was doing in the UK. So you're losing that. You're not able to. I would prefer to feed my family from dirt in the ground than go to a supermarket that I know it's been sprayed with. You know, I was reading something this week about the merger of Monsanto and Bayer. Yeah. You know, you're talking about people that produce food and people that produce chemicals. You know, that's alarm bells to me straight away. But if you look even further into it, obviously you're looking at Monsanto, GM company. They have a big say and a big clout with Walmart. Big, massive company. Now, the thing that concerns me about that, and a lot of people are quite, it's Walmart. Yeah, but Walmart own Asda's. Asda's are a big UK supermarket. And they did start off by having the 4-foot shelving full of this American GM Reese's Pieces shit. Yeah? GM crap. And they're doing that. That will just get bigger and bigger and bigger until you don't know. Yeah. You know, that anything that in a Walmart or Asda's store is all genetically modified. Yeah. You can't trust it. You cannot trust the supermarket. They may be low prices, but it just means you'll be quicker to your hole in the ground, I'm afraid. That's my 2 penny.
food-like products.
When you were saying, listen, I'm going to make this. I'm going to say this because it came to my mind just as you started speaking, when you were talking about getting at one with nature and being at one with yourself as well. I think you've got to be at one with yourself and at one with nature. And I'm nowhere near at one with myself, but I'm trying my fucking damnedest. But to be at one with nature, and when you were talking about you were talking about that, and I remembered this thing that I once said, and I don't know why I said it, and or where, on what context, but I said there are two types of people. There are people that feel the rain, and there are people that just get wet.
Yeah.
Bang on.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned earlier about getting grounded, Owen, that was something I spent a lot of time looking into a few years ago. I came across a video from a guy called Clint Ober, Ober. It's all over YouTube. Incredible fella. And he did some experiments with this, and the benefits you get from it are brilliant. It gets rid of all the wrong sort of ions on your body and grounds you to the earth. And you can actually, even for people who live in the sky like me, I live on a first floor flat, so we've got no garden outside. It's pretty tricky getting grounded, but you can actually buy rubber mats and even bed sheets. You can buy a bottom sheet for your bed that you can actually plug in to the earth socket of your electric ring main, and as long as you've got an earth to ground, it'll ground you the same as being outside. And I used that to great effect for a long while, and I've slipped away from using it. I maybe ought to get back, but I'm trying so many always trying something new, and to be honest, I've found some really good stuff. Top of the list, incline bed, there's cannabis, there's CBD, there's that deep blue oil I got from doTERRA Oils. It's it's made a hell of a difference to my life. But I think the grounding was one of the first things that I found for myself and tried, and it had really good benefits for me.
I think just with me in particular of late with my marital situation, that's the thing that's kind of kept me together. Being grounded, being within nature, being outside. I mean, and this is the time I love again. I'm sorry I'm boasting UK, but I've got to say it. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. By 6 o'clock the sun's over the hill. By 11 o'clock I've got to go back in because it's too warm to work. And then I have a break. And then probably about 3 o'clock, when it's still bloody warm, I go out and finish off what I do. But I know that when I've done maybe seven hours, is that it's complete and that it's done. And it's done all at my own pace as well. And it's brilliant for the soul. It's been amazing. Yeah. You know, I never thought I'd be in this situation. I've had my times over the last 4 or 5 weeks where I thought, do you know what? Let's just get this place sold and go back to the UK. But as soon as the sunshine came out, and the bird, in particular, I've got a pair of nesting swallow swifts that have arrived back, which I saw last year. That's made me stay. Just little things like that. Seeing the birds return back, noticing the plants getting back into bud again, and all the fruit I'm going to get. There's no comparison.
No, absolutely.
It's madness, you know. I've been at the lowest point ever. But you know, I could put the camera outside the window now, and just the sounds that are there is amazing.
Oh yeah,
it's that rural. I know any car that comes down the road, and it's probably about 200-300 yards away.
Oh, brilliant! I mean, I'm getting corrected by the chat room here because Dinny's saying me barefoot's good too. Well, I would say barefoot on damp grass is absolutely the best way you can ground yourself, because the electrical conductivity with the dew on the grass. But
that's it.
Anybody who's ever
the dews into it for Andy.
I was very careful about that. We don't want any more nuclear threats issued from this show, thank you.
Oh, listen, I've got my finger on the button ready. There you go.
No, I mean,
You press it, but the Russians will get blamed.
if anybody's ever had an hard day and you go outside and there's some damp grass, take your shoes and socks off and just stand. Just stand quietly on that damp grass, and it's like just the stress seems to just melt away, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does.
Absolutely that. I mean, I've been just going the whole hog as well. You know, there's no point in me grounding myself and me feeling all right and everything else. I've saged the house. I've gone around and made sure that everything's all been cleansed around the house, because I have been through quite a traumatic time, and the only way that I can get over that is to start loving myself and start, you know, being more positive outlook on things rather than looking at the negative things that have happened. So
the thing is, Owen, if you don't do that, if you don't make those changes that will make you feel better, then you won't change anything on the outside. Nothing on the outside will change.
I won't be here doing this.
No,
you know?
you wouldn't.
And it's that, you know, there's no point. There's no point in moping.
If Andy hadn't gone through what he's gone through, Jason's gone through what he's gone through, none of us would be here chatting about anything right now. You know, we'd probably still be watching fucking Emmerdale, or I'd be watching football that I've not really got one eye on at all.
You don't want to have an eye on, and don't give anything away as well, because I'm watching you. I've been watching you like a hawk on this call, and I'm looking for sort of clues.
Hey, I think I'm doing really well.
I've not even got a dog in this fight, but I'm just interested, and you know, I just hope that they get through the final. And I hope they win it as well, because then, you know, that just rubs Man United's nose in it, doesn't it? Because I know they went past you in league titles, but you know, six European Cups would be fucking awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah, so don't get a close away to that. And that satellite, what is that behind you anyway? That round thing. I don't know whether it's a satellite dish or it's
I'm pointing it now. Yeah. It's a reflective.
It's like, or I thought it were either that or it were like a round window with a jungle outside.
That's a conversation stopper.
It looks like a jungle outside. Talking to you, Webby. That thing behind you, what is it?
I didn't know you were talking to me. It's a light thing.
Right, okay, oh, good. That's what I meant. It looked like a fucking round window with a jungle outside, that's all.
The jungle?
A jungle, yeah, look on the thing, it looks like it's like all these things. Look, a jungle, dear, does that not look like a jungle?
No,
I agree.
It looks like his grow tent, and we're looking through the window into his grow tent.
Yeah.
Oh dear me. Well, we
it's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
All over every.
I like that, Paul.
Yeah,
my computer's gone down again, and I'm using it for reference. So bear with me for a second.
I'm getting corrected again by Dinny. He's telling me that you've got to be naked really for it to work properly. So, yeah.
No, I go out in my pyjama bottom.
Said what? Didn't he say you've got to be naked for what to work?
The grounded thing. So if Paul gets arrested for walking down the park bollock naked, it's Dinny's fault.
Dinny's fault, because I've not said do it. That's my disclaimer.
Well, according to Dinny, there's nothing better than being naked outside, and he said, "Ask Owen."
Jeez. No neighbours. Well, I mean, it's my garden anyway. But I go out in my pyjama bottoms. I've been out a couple of times.
I can't think of anybody here that's been outside naked.
I think that's quite. I think that's quite a mild question for Dinny. That wasn't the first question that I got asked when I first spoke to him.
Oh, let's not go there with that one.
He's not a lover of of DP, is he?
DP, double penetration.
Yeah, he's not a lover of that.
Oh, 80 is though. He'll sort it
No,
out.
no,
No problem.
well,
I had
he's
a
a
phone
lover of
call,
a lot
by
of-
the way, today. I had a phone call from him.
Oh,
From Ada.
there you go. He says I have no neighbours. I do it all the time. So obviously he was just kidding the other night when he was talking to us. Then
Yeah, I had I say AD called me earlier on. He'll be on his flight. I think he's getting picked up by his taxi at 10 o'clock our time, which is about 4 o'clock in the morning. But he told me that yesterday he treated himself. He treated himself to a 55 quidder. So I don't
I don't think what a 55 quidder is.
I think that might be like an exotic drink or something, but you know, he did treat himself. He said he saw it and he just couldn't resist. He's a very weak man, and I think the alcoholism in him has taken over, and he's gone for a 55 quidder. And it took him 2 hours to drink it, by the way.
When is he back?
He's back on. He'll be back next week. He's back on. Well, he'll be back tomorrow. About 10 o'clock tomorrow night. He'll be back.
That's
We'll
definitely
have to have a
going
chat with him.
Oh,
Oh.
my word.
The photographs were bad enough. The ones that I've seen.
Well,
I've not seen him. I did.
he weren't exactly trying to hide anything from us, so I feel like I can share this with our esteemed listeners. All the listeners, anybody who listens to us, they're like outstanding, aren't they? You know, outstanding in whatever field they're in. They're outstanding in it. So yeah, good. AD will be back next week. Surely we'll be doing a foursome on Monday next week with Ian Crane. So AD's into his fracking, so it's into his fracking. Sorry about that. AD's into his fracking, so he'll be. I'm sure he'll be up for joining us. So we've got about 15 minutes left. Where we're going to go for this last 15 minutes, boys?
Well, we can't talk sport, can we? Because Paul's watching it, kind of.
He's got one eye on it, he says.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's half time.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's obvious they're not winning. Don't give anything away. This is a joke. It's obvious that they're not winning because yesterday at half time, Paul got wood.
Yeah, I remember that.
I actually did. I actually truly did.
Oh dear.
well, just don't. Whatever you do, Jason, don't scroll back in the chat room because Dinny hadn't heard the "Don't Tell Me" bit, and he posted a score. So I tried to. I tried to delete it, but it wouldn't delete. But I can't delete. I can't roll back far enough to delete it. Now I'm logged in anyway. So sorry.
Yeah, it's no problem. I've not seen it anyway, so I don't. Is it Dinny? It's always Dinny, isn't it?
Well, Dinny, it wouldn't be a disaster without Dinny, would it?
Look at my elbow, my bone.
Look at you what?
What the?
My elbow.
Help on the bone.
Oh, what the fuck's that?
You been down the joke shop again, Jason?
No, it's my elbow.
How the-
Fucking hell.
You know what that is?
That's weird.
What's that?
That's from having my right arm on Van Winder. It's open.
Jesus.
Fucking hell.
Hell.
That's a proper elbow, that, Jason.
I'm a freak, everybody. If you're not watching on Facebook Live, you won't see that I'm a freak. Look, I've got like a thing there on
He's
my
got-
elbow, my bone.
An egg growing out of his elbow. Jesus.
Listen.
What?
Ah!
That's not normal, that, mate.
Have you got two elbows?
It looks like he's got two
Another one here,
elbows.
look, same. It's not same. It's different. Look.
That's not as deformed as the other one.
This makes great radio.
So generated something on it.
Yeah, your elbows make great radio.
Oh, they do, don't they?
They're nearly as good as Tony Moran's World Championship belt.
So I think someone on Facebook Live's just called me an alien.
It's obviously met you then.
Hang on a minute, was that your dad? Oh my God! I tell you, I just can't get over this. Oh, the breaking news! The latest news in the papers. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
What now?
What are they doing?
Well, you've obviously got the Alfie Evans stuff because that's that is a pertinent thing. He's been refused treatment to go to Italy now. But it's all the other bits. It's absolute nonsense. The stuff. I mean, look at the stuff you were coming up with yesterday, Jason. What was that? What was the really stupid one?
The man who had his the penis transplant, the first penis and scrotum transplant. I think it will be in the medical records. It will be in the medical books. It will be next to the first heart lung transplant. Then the next one is the first penis scrotum transplant.
We have got some medical opinions on your elbow, Jason. John Hall reckons you're growing another todger, and Rob Campbell says it's the ball from your arse. It's moved.
Oh my God! Oh yeah, in the chat room, man. Nobody would have to see in chat room, would they? Yeah. So if anybody has got any opinions, there we go. I've got this fucking big thing on my elbow now, and it's fucking huge. As you can see, that's a side view. And if you've got any medical opinions and you want to tell us about them. But,
we had enough medical opinions about the boil on your arse. I don't know about your elbow.
Listen, I'm a man of many fucking ailments. All right, and all the advice I can get.
What did they say at the start of the $6 Million Man? A man barely alive.
Yeah.
They just didn't bother fucking rebuilding Jason. They just left him.
At which point did they go? We can rebuild him. No, can we? Fuck.
Let's not bother.
We can rebuild him, but why the fuck should we? He never pays his fucking taxes or his TV licence. Oh, it's fine. Oh God, it's been a good show tonight. I've really enjoyed it. But we're not finished yet. We've got like 13 minutes left. So, boys, we should be able to fill this 13 minutes. I had something, but my short-term memory loss and my lack of a pen means that I don't know what it is that we're going to bring up. We're going to bring something up.
I bet it was really interesting.
Do you know it? I think it were probably one of the most interesting things that I've ever come up with before, but I just can't remember what it were.
I was going to say you was going on last night about was it a penis and scrotum?
That's what we just.
Yeah. So, was the man white?
I don't know. We didn't delve into it. We were just. You see, we're not a station that recognises race. It didn't matter to us what it were. It was just a man having his penis and his scrotum transplanted. We were just wondering.
Are you presuming, Owen, that this cock and balls actually came from a man? Are you saying that a woman couldn't have presented a cock and balls for this operation?
No, I'm saying...
You're being womanist?
No, I'm just saying, what if there was a mistake when they were delivering the parts? So, because you get it sometimes. You go to get your car fixed, and you go the week later and say, sorry, love, wrong parts arrived, we can't fit them. I'm just thinking whether the wrong part turned up and the guy went, I can't have that. Different colour.
Well, do you think they get him like a selection, right? You're going to have the first penis and scrotum, and
here's your catalogue.
Here's your catalogue. Started flipping through, like on the thing, and just said, I like that penis, but I'm not keen on that scrotum. All right, we'll move on. All right, that penis. Oh, now it's a bit stubby, that penis. Ooh, that penis is fat enough for it. It's not quite long enough. Oh,
Which
that
when
penis.
women
Oh,
breast enlargement, they choose the size they want in.
exactly.
Sounds like a bit of a cock and ball story, this, mate.
For me, I'd say, you know what I want? I want an 8-inch white penis with 2 black bollocks. Look, you could call yourself Guinness, couldn't you? Because you've got like black bottom and white on
Mate,
top.
Mate,
You know what I mean?
just
You could be a porn star called Guinness.
accept your white penis and your white bollocks, and then tell your missus that she looks fat in her dress. You'll have some black bollocks, mate.
Oh dear.
We've got some more medical opinions.
Not many other shows that can take world geopolitics right down to cock and balls, can they? All in space of 2 hours.
And medical advice. We've got Chris Frankish reckons it needs lancing, Jason. James Lenny says it looks like a ganglion cyst which is built up of fatty fluid. And Owen, it's right balls up then, says John Hall.
What was that?
He says, Owen, it's a right balls up then.
It's a right balls up.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure what that refers to.
See, sometimes the post is relating to what we've been talking about, and we can't always
Yeah.
Exactly.
sort out which one it is, what we're talking about.
Do we know what we're talking about? My album, The Bone. Which, by the way, I'm displaying again on Facebook Live if anybody wants to. It looks like a nose, doesn't it? Like on an alien, doesn't it? Looks like I might draw a couple of eyes. In fact, have I got a pen?
If you had a pen,
there we go. I've got one. Right, let's see if we can. See if we can turn it into a.
We have the fifth person. The next guest on.
So we play the music.
this is like the
It's seal as an elbow.
fifth raconteur.
Can you see it? You see it?
Yeah, he needs a mouth. He can't speak. He needs a mouth. He needs a mouth. He can't speak.
Bear in mind, I'm not left-handed, so.
And for those listening on Spreaker, Jason's just drawing a face on his elbow.
I hope that's permanent marker.
It looks like Peppa Pig. You'll be getting done for copyright, Jason.
Oh yeah, look at that. We need some nostrils though, don't we?
Yeah, and he needs a Spanish hat, then he can be called Elbow.
Yay!
Oh dear me, for God's sake. What a radio show. Great radio, by the way, anybody who's listening to us on Spreaker and not watching on Facebook Live. Tequila Leeds has just put, can we have a photo of Jason's elbow in the chat room? Okay, so if anybody wants to take a photo of it and pop it in the chat room, if anybody on...
Yeah, Dinny could do that. He's clever with technology.
Dinny will do that.
Depends if Dinny's in this reality or not.
He's listening as well, so he'll maybe do it.
Oh, brilliant. Anyway, great radio, guys, tonight. We've really smashed it. I think, do you know what? I feel a Sony Award coming on, don't you? do you not feel a Sony Award coming on? I feel it. I can feel it. It's like, no, I'm connecting with that Sony Award. It's coming our way. This show is going to be like, it's going to be revered for years and years and years. You know, after we're all dead and we can't make any money out of it, it's going to be on telly, every fucking pair of plates. It's going to be on every little fucking thing where this is what, when radio
and have some real laughter and some real language in there, then I don't think there's any point to doing this full stop, is there? So I'm just enjoying the ride, boys.
Excellent. Owen?
Thanks, guys, once again. Thank you for letting me in. I'm sending you all, for you, Jason, send you some sunshine for your birthday on Saturday from Portugal. All the best, guys. I'm here anytime at all.
Brilliant. And how can people get in touch with you? What have you? You're on Facebook and what have you? Yeah?
I'm on Facebook at Arashella Farm, or you can find me Owen Lloyd Martin on Facebook. Yeah, I'm on Instagram, things like that. You can find me on there. Just give us a shout anytime at all. Let's have a chat.
Great. Well, it's been an absolutely fantastic show. We've got Dinny's just said in the chat room. I just noticed he said, "Come back soon, Owen," and I'm sure he will. When your batteries are charged up again. Listen, it's been absolutely superb speaking to all of you tonight. Thanks to my co-hosts, Paul Webster and Andy Young, and a big thanks as well to Owen for as our guest tonight. We'll be back next week. Ian Crane on Monday, Dave Von Clast on Tuesday. For God's sake, don't miss the Dave Von Clast one, because I've got some proper questions lined up. So please don't miss that one. And have a great rest of the week. There might be something extra at the end of the week, so look out for that. But there might not be a preview show. But we'll see you again soon. Ta-ra a bit. Bye.
Bye.